What's up guys, my name is Ace, and yesterday in Modern Warfare 3, we got an update that addressed many of the map rotation issues that people have been having. This is actually a big complaint that's been spreading quite a bit over the past week or so within Modern Warfare 3. I mean, the complaints did exist before that, but they really started blowing up last week, I found. So in today's video, we're going to be covering what those issues are, what exactly Sledgehammer changed with the map rotation yesterday, as well as some additional information we got from Sledgehammer in replies to various tweets as well as Reddit comments that give us some more information about what we can expect going forward for map rotation. So diving right into this, let's talk about some of the main issues that were coming up with map rotation before this update. The first one, and one that I found quite frustrating, is at this stage there are just too many map variants that are also in the exact same pool of maps as the original version. So not only do we have Das Haus, but we also have Das Gross, and those can pop up in the same map rotation, which it seems makes it twice as likely to play at least some version of that map. And that's just one of many examples. We have so many other maps that have an original version as well as a variant version, or in some cases multiple variant versions, like Rust for instance. There are 3 versions of Rust in this game right now. And honestly, many of us are just getting completely sick of this. It is kind of frustrating, especially when you see the map vote pop up and it's either Rust or Tetanus, or Das Haus or Das Gross. Those are your options to vote for, which obviously isn't really much of a choice, and this really seems to kill variety when it comes to map rotation. So that's the first main issue with map rotation. However, I would say one of the bigger issues is when you look at the available maps for a given playlist, even a really popular playlist, like just standard TDM in quick play or domination in quick play, for instance, there are a ton of maps that are in the game that aren't in the rotation for that map pool. So when playing those modes, there are a good handful of maps that you will never see pop up. They just don't exist in that pool of maps, yet they are in the game. And again, that can feel very limiting when it comes to variety. It seems like you're playing the same handful of maps because you are playing the same handful of maps. And I've often found myself thinking, where is this one particular map? I feel like I haven't played this map in months. And that's because that map isn't actually available within the game mode you're searching for. And in my eyes, at least for the regular standard quick play modes like Team Deathmatch and Domination, all of the main maps should be in that map pool and available to vote for. Aside from those duplicate maps that have variants, like I mentioned, and this segues into the third main issue with map rotation that many people have, and this is in the regular modes, like quick play modes, it seems like the really small, tiny maps are popping up way too much in those regular modes. And that can be really frustrating because those tiny maps play so different from like the standard medium-sized maps in Call of Duty. Like I'm talking maps like Shipment, Das Haus, Rust, Stash House, those really tiny maps. Those are just meat grinder maps that are designed for quick grinding, and it's not really a good representation of the regular Call of Duty experience. And therefore, at least in my eyes, all of those tiny maps should be segregated to the small map mosh pit. Because yes, they are popular, but for those people that are looking for that experience that's so drastically different, they have that ability to go to the small map mosh pit and play those maps all day long if they want. But those types of maps shouldn't be in the regular rotation, at least in my opinion. And honestly, this is one of the big things I'm looking forward to with Black Ops 6, is they do keep those maps separated. We're going to have the face-off playlist with the tiny maps, and then the regular playlist where you have mainly normal-sized Call of Duty maps. So there we go. Those are the 3 primary issues that many people were having when it comes to map rotation. And like I said, the complaints for this have really been piling up lately. And Sledgehammer saw that, and they listened, and they did make at least a slight adjustment yesterday. So let's go over what exactly they changed. The first thing they changed is in quick play, the chance to encounter small maps in voting has decreased, allowing for more diverse options. So it appears that should alleviate some of those complaints that I was just talking about. However, it does seem like they're not completely eliminating those tiny maps from the regular pool. They've just decreased the odds that you'll run into them. Then in the small map mosh pit, maps with variants are now less likely to overwhelm the voting options. So I believe this means when the map voting pops up, it's going to be a reduced odds of you having the same map to vote for, but just a variant of the same map. And that does seem like a small step forward as well. And it is good to see that they're acknowledging that. However, this doesn't really acknowledge all of the issues. So let's dive into some additional info that we got yesterday when Sledgehammer was replying to various comments. The first one is in response to somebody asking where Mercado Las Almas went, because it's just no longer available in the game, it seems. And they did mention this was removed due to an issue specific to that map, and they don't have an update on when/if it will return at this time. And I mean, we're almost halfway through Season 5 at this point, so I would say if they don't have an update on this right now, that probably means that they're just not bringing that map into the game. Next, somebody asked if Sledgehammer could confirm whether Estate, Derail, Underpass, and Rundown are back in regular quick play rotation with that update from yesterday. And Sledgehammer replied, due to limitations, These maps are currently unavailable in some, but not all quick play modes. And then they go on to say, in Season 5 Reloaded, we expect them to be available in most quick play modes. And this is something I wanted to hone in on a little bit here, specifically that mention of due to limitations. This seems to imply that there are some technical limitations on how many maps are potentially available in a map pool at any given time for a playlist. And if I'm reading into that right, and if that is actually the case, then I think we should absolutely be eliminating map variants from regular quick play rotation. They should be in their own unique playlists, and we should never be missing out on playing unique maps in order to have multiple versions of one map in that playlist pool. Now again, they didn't specify what those limitations are. Maybe I'm just reading into this wrong. Maybe the reason we're not seeing those maps has nothing to do with the fact that there are also map variants in that same pool and therefore pushing them out of that pool. But if that is the case, then I think it's ridiculous to have variants in the pool. And honestly, I personally think map variants were a mistake in general in this game. I think it was kind of neat when they were in their own separate playlists, so they weren't mixed into regular rotation at all. And if you wanted that different vibe that was very zombies-like, then you could go play that separate playlist. However, I just feel that it's not only visually jarring to be adding into the regular quick play rotation, since it doesn't fit the general theme of the game at all, but on top of that, like I said earlier, I really don't like having different versions of the same map in the same map pool, which then dilutes that map pool. Next up though, we got a little bit more information from Sledgehammer in the replies. On Reddit, somebody asked how many more seasons until we get a new invasion map, and Sledgehammer responded here, we do not have plans for any additional invasion or ground war maps at this time. And again, at this time, we're almost halfway through Season 5, therefore, if they don't have any plans for it now, it's not coming, at least within the life cycle of this game. Which honestly isn't a surprise at all. I made a video talking about this not too long ago. It does appear they totally abandoned those modes early on in this game's life cycle, and it looks like they are sticking to that decision. Additionally, they also confirmed they have no plans for additional Modern Warfare 2 carry forward maps being added to the game. And again, this wasn't really a surprise to me. I wasn't really expecting them to bring any more. It seemed they were focused on bringing just a small handful of the more popular maps from Modern Warfare 2, and they didn't want to bring the entire map rotation over, which if we're circling back to those limitations in the playlist pool, I'm totally fine with that. I would not want to see them bring those Modern Warfare 2 maps over if it means that pushes some of the Modern Warfare 3 maps out of the rotation. And there we go. That's pretty much everything we got here when it comes to this map rotation updates, as well as some of that additional info. Overall, at least on paper, it's nice to see that they're addressing these complaints, and it appears they've made some adjustments. I obviously don't have enough playtime with this since the update went live to really share my experience with it so far. That's the type of thing that I feel like takes several play sessions in order to get a better feel for what the new map rotation feels like. But like I said, it's nice to see Sledgehammer continuing to keep a finger on the pulse of the community when it comes to stuff like this and reacting accordingly. And this is where I'm curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you feeling about these adjustments they made to the map rotation? Also, what are your thoughts on having variant maps mixed into the exact same playlist pool as their originals? And then finally, do you agree with me? Do you think those tiny maps, not just small maps, but the really tiny maps like Shipment and Stash House, for instance, do you think those should be in regular quick play modes? Or do you think they should be segregated to the small map mosh pit playlist only? Just let me know all of those thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.